another team really started to play great baseball. The Philadelphia Phillies, they are on a roll. Donnie Baseball has brought something to the Philadelphia Phillies. Now, a couple of weeks ago, we talked about their manager, Rob Thompson, being fired and just the way that the Phillies had played with the names that are on that roster, the names in that lineup. You look at them and you say, this shouldn't be a team that was at the bottom of the NL East, but that's where they were. Their manager then loses his job. Don Mattingly takes over, and then it's like, hey, show us what you can do, Philadelphia Phillies. And they have now gone back to looking like the team that was one of the best teams in the National League. Right now, at the time of our pod, they are 15-4 under Don Mattingly. The pitching has gotten healthy. Christopher Sanchez, who was a finalist for a runner-up, actually, for the NL Cy Young Award, looks just as good, if not better than he did last season. He has been fantastic, been everything that the Philadelphia Phillies have wanted. Zach Wheeler has come back from being on the IL to start the season. He's looked great. He's 3-0 with a 1.99 ERA. Was great this past weekend. And so when you get that great starting pitching, it takes a lot of the pressure off of the rest of that lineup with guys like Bryce Harper and Trey Turner. And then this guy who continues to hit the ball out of the ballpark at a crazy rate, Kyle Schwarber. Kyle Schwarber has turned into Babe Ruth so far this season. Already has 20 homers as we sit here in the middle of May. He's on pace to hit over 70 this season. Just Kyle has had, and we talked about the 500 home run thing on the pod a couple of weeks ago. But you look at what Kyle has been able to do as a force and just the ability to drive the baseball out of the ballpark. It's just phenomenal. And as he goes, so do the Philadelphia Phillies. I think that's been very clear. But with Kyle hitting the ball out of the ballpark like he has, with Bryce Harper really heating it up over the last 4 weeks of the season, they dug themselves a deep hole, but they've started to kind of get themselves back into position where now they're back over 500. They've gotten themselves to second in the NL East. And now look, the Atlanta Braves have been on a roll in the NL East. They've had a great start to the season. But I think when you look at what the Phillies have been able to do, they've now gotten themselves into a spot where I think we could say, okay, the Phillies are going to be a team the rest of the way that we have to look at, especially if they get this level of production from Kyle Schwarber, this level of production from Bryce Harper, and the starting pitching led by Christopher Sanchez and Zach Wheeler continue to pitch the way that they have. If they play like this team is scary in the National League, because I think, we've started to look at some things around the landscape of the NL. The Dodgers have been continuing to win baseball games, but they're susceptible, right? Their offense hasn't been what we've known the Dodgers offense to be. They've sustained a lot of injuries, which is something that you always have to watch and consider with the Los Angeles Dodgers. We're going to get to that a little later. Blake Snell, needing to have some loose bodies removed from his elbow. He's going to be down for a while. They already had Edwin Diaz, same injury, that had loose bodies removed from his elbow. So the Dodgers can be had, especially when they haven't had the offensive consistency that we've known them to have. Shohei Ohtani isn't swinging the bat like we've seen Shohei Ohtani swing the last 5 years or so. Actually having the worst start offensively that we've seen since 2021, I believe. And so if you're the Philadelphia Phillies, you're saying, okay, bad start. We had a bad start and got ourselves to a point where maybe the NL East is too far gone. But there's 3 wild card spots. Can you be one of those teams that vies for that wild card spot? I believe the Phillies have gotten themselves back in that position. And look, good for them, because the way that they looked when they fired Rob Thompson, I'd seen them in Chicago that week prior. They just did not look like a baseball team that was going to do what they did. Even with the names that they had in that lineup, they just did not look in a good spot. And now they've lost 4 games under Donnie Baseball, right? They're 15-4. Could be by the time we finish this recording 16-4 or 15-5, but they've played really well. And when you play like the back of the baseball card, you get these types of results. So the Philadelphia Phillies are on a roll. They are playing like we expect them to play. And maybe the window is not closed on the Phillies, right? That was one of the things where you look at us like, is the window closed for the Phillies? Like, they looked old at times during that stretch right before Rob Thompson got fired. But with Schwarber hitting the ball out of the ballpark each and every night, with Bryce Harper, with an OPS above 900, and with the starting pitching that duo of Christopher Sanchez and Zach Wheeler is as good of a duo as you're going to find in Major League Baseball. And so if all those guys are pulling their end of the rope, the Phillies are going to be in a great spot here as we get through the month of May and go into the month of June. Hey guys, thanks for watching this episode of The Relay with Russ Dorsey. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And if you have a question for me, be sure to drop it in the comments below, and we'll catch you again here next time.